Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a severely overdue review to share with you guys. This is the Microtech Socom Elite Automatic. I have reviewed the manual one years ago, and I should have reviewed this one years ago, but for some reason I didn't. So I was excited to actually share my thoughts. So thanks so much to eKnives for loaning this to me for review so I could share it with you guys. It'll go back to eKnives. I don't get to keep it. Check it out at eKnives. They have a bajillion. I mean, we finally exist in a time where you can pick up pretty much any variation of this that you want to. So I'll link this and the manual version at eKnives so that you guys can check it out if you want to. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Let's look at specs. This is not a small auto. Good Lord. It's really shocking. You get this thing, and as an owner of the manual one, I get this, and I'm like, oh, that's right. It's huge, and it's an automatic. We're going to get to that. 4.05 inch, about 4-inch blade, cutting edge, 3.75 inches, close length 5.06 inches, and then we have an overall length of 9.11 inches with a weight, curiously, of 5.6 ounces. I'm actually going to check that here in a second. But these are made in the USA. Here on Knife Center, it says, please note, blade steel cannot be specified as it can change depending on availability. I think it used to be a lot more true. Nowadays, it's either M390 MK or M390. In this case, to my surprise, this one was just M390, which I believe now they do a good job with. So real quick, I'm going to weigh it for myself because that seems a bit heavy for this guy considering it's made out of aluminum. Yeah. What? 5.6 ounces? This guy weighs 4.5 ounces. That's silly. Sometimes you just got to check that. But anyways, oh God, it fires so hard. That actually works against it a little bit. I'll get to that. Let's do some size comparisons up against knives that are similar in size, or kind of. Let's put it up against the manual one. It's identical to the manual one. It just doesn't have thumb studs or the button right here. And the manual one has the lock on the inside. For many of you, this will be the right choice, okay? The automatic one, unless you, I'm going to just tell you this right off the bat. If you're looking at this knife and you're like, which do I get, the automatic or the manual? If you really, really, really love switchblades, like that is your favorite thing, go with the auto. If it's not, you should definitely be considering the manual one, right? Especially if it's not legal to carry a switch. This is a switchblade. Legal definition, switchblade. This is a switchblade. So consider that before you pick this up. Anyways, let's put it up against some other knives that are also on the larger side. Ontario Rat Model 1. We have the CGRB Pyrite Light. It's bigger than both. How about up against the AD10? This is large. It's a big knife, okay? No way around it. Big, big, big. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools. My tools are very inexpensive, very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. Pretty sure that pivot's a T25. Maybe it's a T20. Yes, it's a T20. I do love that Microtech uses these enormous fasteners for the pivot. I really wish more companies would do that. T20, absolutely beautiful. Love it. Stupid T6 for the body screws. God, that's so dumb. And then, you know, you have a separate size for the pocket clips, which I think is T8. Yeah. Okay, so as far as, like, you know, the fasteners, not that big of a deal. A few extras, got some odd sizes. The issue with taking this apart is that this has a large coil spring on the inside of it. If you have ever taken apart a Microtech auto, I took apart my Stitch one time. Getting that thing back together. First of all, tape the blade. Just tape the blade, okay? You're going to be holding things in place, working against that coil spring, trying to get everything to fit back together. I would advise that you do not take these apart. And I know that that is very tempting and it almost makes people want to take them apart just as a challenge. That was me. In hindsight, I should have left that thing alone. I just wanted to see. I'd say leave it alone unless you absolutely have to take it apart. But if you want to, getting in there is not the problem. Putting it back together is going to be the problem. So take that into consideration there. Let's go ahead and move on into the final part, or the actual review. Okay, moving on into the review. Here are the different categories, and here are the possible grades that I can give out for each category. Keep in mind, it becomes exponentially less likely that I will give higher and higher and higher scores. That's really putting a lot of emphasis there on that S tier, which I have not given out to anything since I started doing these newer reviews. But I'm going to try and be as objective as I possibly can for these initial 6 categories. And then after I get done with that, I do have a 7th completely and totally subjective. Did I say objective? I'm going to try to be objective for the first 6 categories. And to the best of my ability. And then we'll have a final 7th category that is the metal complex, cool factor, and sort of emotional reaction as enthusiast, collector, etc. I'll have my own separate score that you can put stock into or not. Okay, ease of manipulation, category 1. This is going to be a bit controversial. Okay. I get it that some of you guys have this knife. You're watching this. A lot of people are watching this review with this knife, and it's their favorite knife, and they're holding on to it, and they're like, he better score that high. I get it, but hear me out, okay? This is an automatic. If I'm going to judge this thing on power, holy crap. If I was going to just letter grade it on power, this is stupidly powerful. It is one of the most powerful side opening autos that I've ever handled, at least in the production knife world. I've got a custom that's far more powerful, but I'm not going to count that, right? The only knife that I feel like is as powerful as this, and I think it's a slightly, maybe the same, I don't know, it's a different blade shape. It's a Stitch, right? I've had some Protechs that were near, right? But this is powerful. If you're like, I don't care about anything else, I just want to know if it's powerful, here you go. Yeah, it's a freaking 4-inch blade. It's 190 thousandths on the spine. There's a lot of blade flying out there. One of the larger autos I've ever experienced. However, we are not judging it specifically on power. We are judging it specifically it's a few different things in this category, but ease of manipulation overall. Pretty easy to find the button and push it, sure. But that's not it. It's the overall ease of manipulation. A lot of that for me comes with like confidence of manipulation. Couple of things making me not so confident. The power isn't that hard to deal with once you have experienced it once. Finding the button obviously is not hard, and it's actually pretty cool. I like the knurling there. The problem is holding onto it and being comfortable. Holding onto it is made difficult because of the position of the pocket clip, which we all know is a stupid solo position. This is the only way that the clip can be mounted. Tip down only. It's 2025. It's not 2004. Like, why? It doesn't make any sense. On top of that, the curvature and the edge of this make bracing, especially with the index finger, not only uncomfortable, but a little bit sketchy because I don't feel like I'm completely locked in. On top of that, because the coil spring is so powerful, it really is. I mean, yeah, could you push the button down? Like, I'll do it here. Can you do it with one hand? Yeah. Do I feel confident? No. Pretty much two-handed. Every time I fire this, every time, I'm like, ugh. So is it the easiest thing in the world to manipulate considering all of those factors? No. Far from it. Far from it. If you expected me to give that a high score, I'd say, well, it's not going to happen. Is it bad? No, it's not bad. It's just not great. I mean, I have to consider all of this stuff. I think I'm being super generous giving it a C+. I know some of you are going to be mad at me for that, right? Again, if we're just judging it on power, sure, it's super powerful. But I got to be honest for people wanting to pick this up. You got to consider that. It's a little bit sketchy and this doesn't feel good, right? Every single time you fire it, I'm just trying to be real. Category 2, blade practicality. Okay, well, it's a huge, sharp blade. M390, as far as I know, Microtech's pretty good about it. One of the biggest problems with this upgrade, this change, right? This is the Socom Elite. The older Socom was a thinner blade with better cutting geometry. Now, this is still a blade that will do everything that you want it to do. It will definitely poke, and it will definitely slice. That cutting edge is a bit thick, right? Now, it doesn't make it bad. Doesn't make it bad by a long shot. I think it's better than okay. I think a lot of people come down to this. come down on this knife and we're complaining and screaming and whining and crying about how thick the edge was, the freaking initial cutting edge is fine, right? I mean, it's going to slow you down cutting certain materials. We judge this category. See what I mean? Like the factory edge is plenty sharp cutting something simple like paper. They're obviously going to be slowing down a lot more if you cut something like wood or rubber or thick cardboard or something like that, right? But we're judging this on like general EDC, right? I mean, if we were going to cover specialized tasks, well, good Lord, this would be a 4-hour video, right? But we're not going to do that. The average person is going to use it just like me for regular stuff, right? So how good is it cutting regular stuff versus something that is perfectly optimized, right? Well, it's far from bad or okay, but it's also not great. Certainly not spectacular. I'm going to give it a B. I think that's fair. It's right there in the middle of good. I don't think it deserves any more than that, and that's not a bad score. A B is just fine. Moving on to category 3, and that's comfort in the hand and pocket. Well, I'm going to be honest with you, it's not the most comfortable thing. The pocket clip really is the biggest issue here. It's the position of the pocket clip. In and out of the pocket, I hate these little divots. Depending on the thickness of pant material that you're wearing, I mean, sometimes that's an additional zone. It's like, you got past the guardian, but now another guardian of the dungeon. It's like, what? Just let me in. Why are we messing around with this? Like, unless you're doing parkour, you don't need to be that locked in with your pocket clip. But in and out of the pocket's not too bad. I don't want to get too fussy about that. It's specifically, it's not a hard 90-degree angle here, but it is a blocky feel. I'm locked in. I don't feel like I'm going to drop it, but I'd be lying if I said I was comfortable. And the biggest issue with that is the pocket clip, which again also creates a problem going in and out of the pocket when you're wearing certain types of pants. And this is not an athletic short type of, knife. Most people are going to be wearing work pants or jeans or something like that. With this. So it is, it's also a large object to carry. As far as 9-inch knives go, it's not terrible, right? It's not terrible. Not even, I mean, it's better than okay. I think it's fine. It's just the pocket clip creates so many issues. So I feel bad scoring it this low, but then again, I don't, because I really think I'm going to give it a C. It's just okay, right? Now, I've definitely handled worse. I mean, believe me, I've handled knives that were far worse, far less comfortable, right? I mean, gee, if I was going to score the Praetorian from Medford, there's a part of me that wants to give that an F. That is honestly like squeezing a pineapple. It isn't just so awful. This is still okay. It's okay. C. I'm going to give it a C. Moving on to reliability. So this was a little bit tricky for me, and I can't. So this is, I'm coming down to having to score this on a bit of guesswork, right? I have not personally taken this out and beat on it and pushed it to the limit. This is a plunge lock, but it's kind of a plunge lock plus for a couple of reasons. God, that action. It's a huge plunge lock. Also, Microtech has been doing this for a long, long time. How many times have you read on the internet that somebody's automatic Microtech disengaged and they got injured from it? I'm going to guess not very often. Not nearly as often as we hear about that and when we're talking about some of the newer Chinese plunge locks that are manual, right? So we also have that spring force pushing and holding that into place. Is it better than a frame lock? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I've never had one of these things disengage on me. Never. Do I think it's as reliable as something like the Shark Lock? We're talking about overall reliability of the knife, right? In terms of a lot of that with a folding knife, the reliability really does come down to the locking system and the overall quality control. So there's kind of two different categories we cover here, but specifically, we're looking at the lock in terms of reliability. I can't say that it's any better than a frame lock or any worse than a frame lock, but I would put all of my money on something like the Shark Lock, Triad Lock, the Super Lock or the Scorpion Lock. Locking systems like that are going to be superior. Definitely. That would be my opinion on that. So again, this grade is not based on any factual knowledge or any extensive testing. It's just based on, taking a look at the knife community over at least the last decade and seeing that we've had no major issues with these types of systems from Microtech or any company that's utilizing a plunge lock that's backed up by a heavy duty coil spring. They all seem to be pretty good. So I'm going to give it a B plus and assume that it's right around the same area as a frame lock. It's perfectly okay if you disagree with me on this because you might actually have more knowledge on it, right? I'm working with what I've got here. I'm an average Joe. I don't do a lot of the crazy extensive testing, but I do owe it to my audience to understand, to provide them information so they can understand exactly where I'm coming from with this. So again, category 4, overall reliability, I'm going to give it a B plus. Category 5, overall quality. Microtech is known for having absolutely incredible fit and finish for American knives. I'd say they are one of the best. There are certainly American companies that can do it a little bit better, so they're not getting the absolute top score, but little things when we look about like the evenness of the cutting bevel, right? It's good. Heat treat, they've been up and down on it. I think they're better with that, but their overall fit and finish, their ability to execute and not leave things looking and feeling unfinished. Like in particular, gosh, their ability to anodize aluminum is so nice, right? The button, the seating of the hardware, like how this fits in here, their inlay work, right? All of that. We look at like how even the seam construction is here. It's really, really nice. Again, I've seen, American companies do things a little bit more impressively, a little bit better, and really just in terms of like ability to execute more complex machining and things like that. So it's maybe a little bit unfair. Some people might look at this differently, but it's still going to get a good score from me. It's going to get an A minus. I think Microtech does an incredible job. If we were looking at some of their customs, I might score it a bit higher. I think their customs are definitely on another level for sure, as they should be, right? Value versus the competition. Aluminum, made in the USA, high-end USA production, aluminum and M390. Do we have other USA companies executing with similar quality? Maybe not similar power. I'll give it here. This is ridiculous. Do we have other USA companies executing on the same level with the same materials or similar materials for less? Yeah, we absolutely do. ProTech, getting up there, but ProTech does it for less. Hogue has some autos, definitely doing it for less. And then Kershaw. Yeah, they're way less. I'm still not convinced that they do quite as much in-house. Microtech is like 95 to 98%. Everything is done in-house, right? But so is ProTech. So what do these come in at? Base price is $320. I'm not mad at it. It's not like, oh my God, they're ripping our faces off. I don't think realistically we can perfectly, compare to Kershaw. I think Kershaw is not quite, like if I was going to give an award to like who's, doing the more complex machining, the more stylish machining, who's going above and beyond, well, I think Microtech is, and you're going to pay for that, right? Are they that far above ProTech or Hogue? No, I don't think so. Really good though. Maybe I'm being a little harsh here. I'm going to give it C+. That's the top end of okay, right? I'm not saying it's bad. If I thought it was bad, I'd give it a D. It's not bad. Still quite a ways off from bad. $320 though. It's freaking cool, as you're about to find out. Not my favorite value. Still pretty high. You do tend to pay a little bit extra for the fact that it says Microtech on it, which, by the way, we really still have to have all this crap on here. It's just insane. Moving on to the completely and totally subjective metal complex cool factor score. You can separate this completely from the previous 6 categories and ignore it entirely because this is just my opinion, my collector, enthusiast, user opinion as somebody who has handled a ton of stuff. I really liked, I mean, even with all of the goofy stuff here, like the panicky action and the less than, the far from perfect ergonomic lines, there is something primally cool. It's kind of like military, super tactical, cool. I like the Socom. It has that iconic look and that firing power. It just makes me go, man, that is such a serious object. It definitely has problems. It definitely could be improved on. I would love to see them make this more comfortable. I don't want them to take the power away. I want it to be, more, I want to feel more secure and more comfortable while I'm firing it, right? And I don't love the price tag, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't think that this was really, really cool. I definitely, there are other knives that I've obviously freaked out over much, much more though, right? So This is right there kind of teetering on the line of something that I kind of want to buy for myself. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to give it a B+. Top end of good. I do very much like it, and that is a good grade. I don't want anybody looking at that. That's why I specifically listed at the B category. B- to B+ is specifically labeled as good, and that's what I mean there. So, would I recommend this to the average person? Let's move on into the final scorecard. All right, looking at the final card, it's a little all over the place, right? I mean, it's like the idea of this is the same thing I've always said. You're supposed to pick and choose the parts of this card that mean the most to you. You can ignore the parts that you don't care about, right? So would I recommend this to the average person? Well, no, not specifically because of the scores here. Mostly because it is, number one, a massive automatic knife, okay? That's going to create legal issues for a lot of people. Number two, I mean, it's freaking expensive, right? We're always looking at value, not versus knife. No, not versus knife or pocket knife, which new people cannot understand. 322, I could get a knife for $20. Yeah, you can. Imagine this. Oh my gosh. Wow, mind-blowing. Not all knives are made the same or for the same groups of people. That's you should learn that right away. Stepping into the knife world should be the most obvious thing right off the bat. Of course, not everything's made the same. It's same category same type of thing for any category of object, right? Toyota Corolla can drive you to work. So can a Corvette. We're going to pretend that they're the same thing? They're definitely not, right? Definitely not. There's a million examples. If you don't like that example, there's a million examples we could use. Every example that you could ever bring up, every argument you could make, I promise it's been made over decades and decades in the knife world, right? The end result is always the same. Factually, these things are not all made exactly the same. There's wide variation. Same with materials and all that. But anyways, still though, the average person does not need to spend. You're buying this because you want it. You're buying this because you want a big, aggressive American switchblade, right? So the average person does not need this. And even if it's not the average person, somebody looking for this type of object, I think it's fairly overpriced, right? Not terrible, but fairly overpriced. It's huge. It's not incredibly comfortable. It does not inspire confidence. You have to basically just specifically want the Socom Elite, and you want it to have ridiculous and bordering on scary, powerful action, right? My index finger legitimately hurts from holding on to that pocket clip while I'm firing it. So, average person, no, don't recommend it. Is it cool? Yeah, it is freaking cool. That's why I have these separate scores, right? My own Metal Complex score. If you think like me, if you've watched reviews and you think you're like, I'm a lot like Metal Complex. I got $320 burning a hole in my pocket. I think this knife looks cool. You will probably like it. You should probably go for it. Everybody else, the majority of people, probably not. Still glad I got an opportunity to check it out. It's a fun one. Not sure if I want to add it to my collection, but I am very, very tempted. Thanks again to eKnives for sending this in. This will go back to them. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.